The way most Americans buy and sell real estate will change in 2024. We're going to talk about the court case that caused this change to happen, what this means for both buyers and sellers, and if you stay tuned to the end, you'll discover a hack that makes this change much easier. There's a class action lawsuit, meaning a lot of people got together and sued the National Association of Realtors, claiming that brokerages were colluding with each other and keeping realtor prices high. The NAR to this day have claimed that they're not guilty and realtor fees have always been negotiable. And to be clear, settling is a way of saying, I'm not guilty, but I'm going to pay you this amount of money to make this go away. I'll agree to certain terms for the future and we'll go our separate ways. The NAR is settling because trial is expensive, and they flat out said if we go to trial and lose, we'd go bankrupt. So instead, here's $418 million, and we'll also agree to some extra terms that give buyers and sellers an extra little advantage in the marketplace. This new advantage starts July 2024. And what is that little advantage? Well, sellers are no longer able to advertise a buyer's agent commission on the MLS. Now, let me break that down. The way things have been done for decades previous is when you hire a buyer's agent, they'll probably say something like, and the best part is you don't have to pay me anything. My costs are covered through the seller of the home that you buy because they already have agreed to pay me a certain amount of money before they even listed it on the market with their agent. And that's how it's worked for decades. Because of this lawsuit, a buyer's agent will no longer tell you that their fee is covered through the sellers. The sellers aren't going to offer that anymore through the MLS, and that's not promised. So what they will and what they are required to now do is sit down with you and discuss and to predetermine a fee that you will pay them. Just because you're agreeing to pay your buyer's agent and the sellers aren't advertising to pay for it doesn't mean you cannot ask the sellers to pay for your buyer's agent. And I believe a lot of people will, but this is what's also going to happen. Let's say you have two buyers and they're both offering the exact same thing to a seller, and they're both asking for the seller to pay for their buyer's agent fee. But one buyer has an expensive agent and the other buyer has a cheaper fee. Which one do you think the seller is going to take? Obviously, the seller, most of the time, will take the buyer with the cheapest buyer's agent. But does this mean you should hire the cheapest buyer's agent all the time? Of course not. But you need to make sure you're hiring the right buyer's agent for you. You have to go and interview them and interview multiple to make sure that they're a good fit. It's way more important now after this settlement. I know the problem is interviewing people is super uncomfortable. And if you interview multiple agents, chances are you're going to get a lot of follow-up phone calls from the agents you didn't hire and have to have the awkward breakup conversation. So stay tuned to the end so you can learn the hack to avoid all this while still hiring the perfect buyer's agent for you. Help your fellow American home buyers and sellers out and drop a comment. Tell us what question every realtor should be asked. Sellers should be most excited about this settlement because they're going to be the ones saving the most money. They're not going to have to offer that full buyer's agent commission up front, though you should expect to pay a little bit and be asked to pay for it from the buyers. But you'll have a lot more of an upper hand and a say in how much you pay. If you have an agent who's good at negotiating, this shouldn't be an issue. And it's also important to note that you can technically advertise a buyer's agent commission if you want to, just not on the MLS. You can do it on other websites. Your realtor on their own website can offer a buyer's agent commission. This doesn't always make sense depending on how the market is at the time. In a slower market, it might make sense to advertise that commission just to tip the scales and actually find you that right buyer. In a faster market, disclosing what commission you're willing to pay could cost you. After all, what if a buyer didn't need you to pay for their buyer's agent, but since you're offering, they take it? Make sure you and your realtor know the right market conditions so you can act accordingly. Some of you might be wondering, are buyer's agents even worth it anymore? After all, I have to pay the fee now, and it looks pretty easy if I just learn a few things. I honestly had the same question, and I've been a full-time realtor for 5 years. This settlement changes the foundation of my business in a lot of ways. And I even considered making an online course for buyers instead of being a buyer's agent. But here's the problem with that. Every real estate transaction is so different that this online course would have to be hundreds of hours for the student, require online support, and still not probably be enough for the nuances that come up in a transaction. That's way too much legal liability for me, and it should be for you too. So just hire a professional that's going to be there every step of the way. And the reality is, before this settlement even happened, buyers were already paying for their buyer's agent. Think about it. They bought the house. That money goes to the sellers, who pays for both agents. And this new way of conducting business with your buyer's agent is just going to make buyer's agents more competitive for your business, going to make them fight to differentiate themselves, give you more value, and save you money when you sell your property. Now it's time for you to learn the easiest way to find a buyer's agent. If you click the link in the description, you will be taken to a landing page where you can fill out everything you need from a buyer's agent and from a house. That information gets sent to yours truly, who takes that and finds 3 agents that fit that criteria. I do a video interview with those agents, send you the recordings while keeping you and your personal information away from the agents and all other third parties so you're not bugged. That way you can decide objectively with no outside pressure who you want to work with. You're probably wondering, what's in it for me? Why would I do this for you? And I'll tell you. It's customary for agents to pay each other referral fees when we refer each other business, and I will ask for a referral fee from the people I interview for you. However, if they decline and say they don't want to pay me a referral fee, I'll still interview them and send you the recording. And again, your information will go nowhere except to the agent you decide to work with, and I'll only give it to them when you've explicitly given me permission to. You also will not be contacted for any other reason other than that specific transaction. You won't have a newsletter. You won't be spammed. Drop a like if this video was helpful. Thanks for watching.